Hello, hello. Welcome to EOTAS Matters HQ. Yes, that's the desk in my bedroom. And yes, that's a load of clean washing on my bed that I've just moved from the bed to the chair and back to the bed again for about the past week and a half. Anyway, hello. My name's Heidi Maver. I'm the founder of EOTAS Matters. At EOTAS Matters, we work supporting parents and carers of neurodivergent children and young people who have barriers to attendance and who may need to unlock bespoke provision through the EHCP system. We also do a lot of work educating people about how to support neurodivergent learners in schools and also how to self-advocate for yourself if you are a late identified or new to the party neurodivergent adult. Hi. So, you might have clocked, if you follow me on any of my social media streams, that one of my reels went a bit bonkers yesterday. At last count, we'd had almost 500,000 views across TikTok and Instagram on a video that I shared with a bit of information about triggering alternative provision. And I've had a little bit of backlash, which is fine. I don't care. But I wanted to talk to this thing about attendance at all costs. And I think we just need to, I was going to say, address the elephant in the room, but many of us know what the deal is with this. Those of us who are in the system and being screwed by the system and whose children are not being accommodated by the system, we know how this works. So this might be me preaching to the choir, but I've got some thoughts on it. So one of the things that I have when I'm speaking to lots of parents and carers is that the conversations they're having with SENCOs, head of years, attendance officers, local authorities is along the lines of just get them into school. It doesn't matter, just get them in. And I had this and I wrote about it in my book. I don't know if I mentioned I wrote a book. But it's the kind of the approach of just get them in, right? It's almost like this. Nothing else matters. No other conversations have to take place. So long as your kid is in school, then we'll engage with you. And there's a lot of parental blame. I had a very interesting to and fro yesterday on a TikTok video whereby someone who outed themselves as a local authority attendance officer, which I always think is so funny because it doesn't really happen on the platforms that I use more. And that's because I think people know, generally speaking, that I'm a bit of a gobshite. So if they come for me on Facebook or on Instagram, I'll shut them down. But I'm not as well known on the talk. So I think it was just someone who didn't know who I was. Do you know who I think I am? Anyway, the conversation went like this in case you haven't seen it. It was me talking about the 15 days absence and triggering alternative provision through a complaint to your local authority. And they said, this is not correct. I'm an attendance officer for a local authority. And I said, you're brave outing yourself in this way. Guidance document you need to look at is ensuring a good education for children with health needs who cannot attend school. And then I said, I suspect it's not in your employer's interest for you to know your way around this. And he said, parents can be prosecuted. Section 441, education, neglect, consequences of unauthorised absences. So straight away, he's in with, let me tell you what will happen if you don't do what I say. You could be prosecuted. I'm going to use the word neglect, and I'm going to make sure that you know that you should be and ought to be frightened of me because I'm an LA attendance officer. People like this is what makes the job of decent attendance officers hard to do. Then he said, they, might not be a he, I would ask parents reading and watching this, how is this creator, I'm a creator, best placed to advise and provide this information? And I said, how are you? It's a short video imparting vital information that is factually accurate. Your scaremongering is not welcome here. Then I said, you check the guidance and then check yourself. It's people like you making parents' life hell. You get paid to scare parents into submission, citing neglect and pushing your parental blame narrative. How dare you? It makes me so angry, right? Because the idea that we have a task force of attendance officers and their approach to us saying, if your kid isn't in school, this is what you can do to get them some support, is to just threaten us with prosecution and use the phrase neglect. Neglect Like, that's a big, chunky, meaty word to use to a parent who you know nothing about, you know nothing of their child, you know nothing of their circumstances, you don't even know if that child has special educational needs or a disability. And the word you throw out first is neglect and prosecution. And this is what we're up against in our system. And then I have conversations with people about, well, I'm not able to trigger that piece about 15 days absence because my absences aren't being authorised. So school are telling me they're not going to authorise my absences because the LA have a policy that says you need sign off from a consultant level medical professional. It's not true. The DfE guidance is super clear. We should not delay putting alternative provision in place for children and young people who have a period of 15 days or more, non-consecutive, out of school due to health needs, which includes mental health. We should not delay that in the absence of medical advice. And the only time that should be delayed or should be questioned or absences should not be authorised is if you have reason to believe that the veracity of the illness is not as is being reported by the parents. So basically, call the parents a liar or authorise those absences. But they won't do that. They go all the way around the houses. Or they put our kids on reduced timetables, which can be helpful, but they massage it and manipulate it so that they still get an attendance mark twice a day. So they're not absent. They're not making any difference to their absence figures. They're actually massaging their stats. They've got kids on reduced timetables who on paper are in full time, but they're actually not getting access to a full-time suitable education. And it makes me fucking furious. So what I'm doing, let me just look at some comments. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. Okay. I know it's hard, Kim. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. It's always about the stats. It's never about the child's welfare. 1.7 million children persistently absent currently. 1.7 million. That's more than 10% absence. Do not tell me that every single one of those homes is neglectful. Do not tell me that every single one of those parents deserves to be prosecuted. It's not accurate. And this idea that the way to deal with absence is to have attendance officers threatening parents with fines and prosecution is just not, it's not addressing the issue. It's not even a sticking plaster over the issue. It's not doing anything to help the issue apart from drive a wedge between parents and educators, pit us against them, disadvantage our children further, cause unnecessary harm, distress and trauma to parents and to their children. And if we actually took an approach of, okay, this is clearly a massive problem. Our kids, and Ellie Costello from Square Peg talks about this, our kids who are persistently absent from school, not able to access education, they are the canaries in the mine. We have children who are more sensitive to social differences, sensory differences, academic pressures. Our children are more sensitive than the greater population of the educated children in our system. If our kids are struggling and they're struggling with increasing numbers, that is a sign that the education system is not doing what it should be doing. If our kids that are canaries in the mine are unable to attend, you can bet your life that kids who are not like our children are also going to start having difficulties. And that's what we're seeing. So we're seeing children who previously did not have the barriers that our kids with special educational needs have, now experiencing barriers to attendance. And it's because the system is not fit. It's because our schools are too big, they're too busy, they don't take into account sensory needs, they prioritize attendance above well-being, they put our children and young people under incredibly high amounts of stress, they're under-resourced, the education system has been consistently underfunded by the Tory government for the past 10 years. Our teachers, our learners, our learning managers, our school leaders are on their knees, teachers are leaving the profession in their droves. The answer is not to be prosecuting children's parents. The answer is to be properly investing in education. And that's why we have to push back. And people saying we shouldn't be complaining, oh, there's nothing we can do, we shouldn't complain. If we don't make our voices heard, we won't elicit change. So let's look at some comments and then I'm going to tell you what I've done or what I'm doing. It doesn't really work like that when they are busy, when they are physically sick because of anxiety. Exactly. It makes me so angry. Yeah, the audacity of that person. 10 months out and only been offered online, which my child can't access, no alternative provision. We're paying 80 quid a week for equine therapy. And I know this is a really common thing where parents are having to self-fund, if they're able to, alternative provision. The LA has to arrange alternative full-time provision after 6 days according to the guidance. Yes, the 15 days relates to school's obligation to notify the LA once it is likely the child will be absent for at least 15 days. Yes, but I add like a 45, not even that, 30-second video. It's 6 days when it is apparent that that period of ill health will extend, and then it's 15 days for the LA to inform the local authority. They don't. My nephew's school authorises all his absence. He hasn't been at school for years 7, 8, and now year 9. Have you got alternative provision, Tracy? It is a mess, Jodie. You're absolutely right. My daughter has barely attended since February, and no one has ever mentioned EOTAS or sent work home. Now she is so behind she won't go in. Please come over and look at the resources that we've got on our website. I've had parent blame, and it's quite amusing when I tell them I have twins, one with 0% and one with 100% attendance. Funny that. So it can't be your fault. The education system is broken beyond repair. Agreed. If schools having finances is a priority, it's schools having finances as a priority and not the education of all children. Yes. That attendance office attitude would be problematic at the best of times. In the context of the recent school closures and lockdowns, which prioritise the well-being of adults over children, has caused huge increase in SEND and has exacerbated all the challenges faced by children who already had SEND. It's utterly appalling. I won't tell you what I think about school closures over COVID. I think it's important to prioritise life, and we can't expect our kids to go back to how things were before when they've had these massive upheavals in their childhood. Nothing. He speaks to a teacher for 10 minutes a week on Zoom. Tracy, my love, let us get you some support. When I say a child is too overwhelmed to attend school, it goes down as unauthorised. But if I ring now and say he's too unwell with no more details, it's put as illness. So doing that from now on. And the key is knowing what to say, 100%. My LA tried to prosecute me for my son's low attendance. They ignored his medical reports, and it took a pre-action letter to stop the harassment. I'm so sorry. My son missed years 9, 10, 11 entirely because there was nowhere to meet his needs, despite having the EHCP, which is one at tribunal, and the LA provided nothing during this time. This is why we need SEND reform. This is, you can see from these comments, this is not just me having a bit of a spout about stuff. I'm looking forward to Lichfield on Thursday too, Emma. It'll be fun. So what I wanted to say to you was today, I have procrastinated doing the things that are the big things on my list, and I've done a couple of extra bits. So what I have done now this won't apply to you if you're already kind of in the system, but what came out of yesterday, what I realized, well, not realized, but what I had confirmed to me was that there are lots of parents who don't know any of this stuff and who are being told there's nothing we can do. Which is what I was told. Get your kid in school, but until your kid's in school, there's nothing we can do. And your absences are unauthorised, by the way. Oh, and by the way, we're about to prosecute you. So what I've done is I have started working on a bank of resources for parents in that position. So specifically, parents at this stage, because I've got stuff for parents who already have an EHCP or who are on the route to getting an EHCP, but I've just started on some stuff for if you're earlier on in the process, maybe you don't know if your child has special educational needs, maybe like my child, it just has come out of the blue, kind of, and they just can't go to school anymore. So I've written a draft email to send to the SENCO asking for a meeting. I've laid out the pertinent sections of the SEND Code of Practice for you to refer to if you get pushback on that. I've done you a draft email. I've done a draft email asking for a meeting, and I'm just finishing off a document which outlines what questions you want to ask in that meeting and references back to the SEND Code of Practice, and then some suggested action points and some suggestions for accommodations that you might ask your school to make in the meantime. So that will be on in the Marble Run in the next at the end of the week. I'm just working through the document. But if you know someone who would benefit from that, please point them in this direction. I will make sure that I let you know when it's live. If you're already a Marble Run member, you'll get access to that. For people who don't know what my Marble Run is my low-cost monthly subscription. It's £20 a month. You can get it on my website. And in there, you get access to, I think, currently 10 of my webinars, which includes my EOTAS 101 webinar, Barriers to Attendance, Section A for PDA, Mental Health and Autism, Parental Burnout. What else is in there? How to request an EOTAS package, Personal Budgets. What do we do this week? Lodging an appeal. So that's all in there. And there are templates for each of those things. So it's all in the Marble Run. And I'm just about to put this new bank of resources and I'm going to build on it. So the first thing is the letter for the email requesting a meeting with the SENCO, and then there'll be a document to help you manage that meeting with the SENCO. So I just want to really be kind of like as responsive to what I can see coming up as I can be, because the fact is that I'm sure, I'm giving them a benefit of the doubt, I'm sure that local authority attendance officer thinks that they're doing a brilliant job and thinks that their job is to blame parents because they are ignorant about what is really going on for us. And so in the light of that, we need parents to know what to do, who to ask, what to say, and how to back up what they're asking for. Because unfortunately, as it stands now, we have people like that person who just think that we're swinging a leg. I will share over the next couple of days some of the other comments I got on that TikTok video, but the usual stuff: waste of resources, benefit fraudsters, taxpayers' money, all that shit. Yeah, that'll be fun when I go through those. So if you're not already in the Marble Run, head over to my website, HeidiMaver.com, click on the Marble Run. You can join for as long as you want. It's cancel anytime you like. We did a Q&A last night. The Q&A recorded section is going to be uploaded today. And then there's a special guest session at the end of the month with an amazing woman called Fiona, who is a specialist in trauma and a specialist in somatic practice. So that's like understanding how trauma is held in your body. So she's going to come and do a session for Marble Run members in there. Okay, so being threatened by school, turning up and announced, threatened police and social services. I'm so sorry, Jude. Nothing we can do, and she's fine where she's here. No, she's not. Yeah. It's not true. You might find this letter and these resources I'm about to put in the Marble Run helpful to you. Me again. He then got an independent specialist residential over an hour from home for 3 years. Aged out at 18. He's now 20, and despite county agreeing EOTAS, all they'll provide is up to 15 hours a week, home tutor. Everything else in his 62-page EHCP is ignored entirely. My God. Just received our draft EHCP. Caseworker has not replied to my email stating that I need clarification on naming a secondary provision before the 15 days is up. Sent a second one. Daughter has an AP, luckily, but there is no way she's going anywhere near ready to return to school environment anytime soon. And this is what we really need to be working on, is when we have a child or a young person that has had any kind of period out of school, it's not just as simple as throwing them back in again. The reason they crashed out of school in the first place was because they had needs that were unsupported. So when and if you're making an attempt to reintegrate back into a school, even if it's on a part-time timetable, that needs to have different things in place than they had before. And that's what this document that I'm working on will outline. So I'm drawing on lots of different places. I've pulled some resources. I've pulled some advice to put all into one document for you. So that will show up in the Marble Run in the next couple of days, certainly by the end of the week. And if you've got any questions about it, pop over to our Facebook group, and there's a link in my bio and on the website, and let us know what questions you've got. And I'm sending you all the love. I'm sorry it's so rubbish. We will get there. We will. And there are people within our systems who want to help us. There are people like that LA attendance officer who clearly are more interested in being paid for torturing families. We don't worry about them. We find the people who will help us and the people who should be helping us, and we make them do it. So that resource, that letter requesting a meeting, and the notes for you to take to that meeting will be in the Marble Run by the end of the week. Have a day. See you all later. Bye.